Hi, guys. I'm mad about artwork today. Morning. You awake? Good morning, sleepyhead. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, so you're finally awake. Now, I have a chip on my shoulder about methods of protest. Now, one might argue, well, if you're angry about how somebody's protesting, then their protest is useful and working. I would argue no. If somebody protesting makes somebody's lives, if somebody protesting makes the lives of the people around them worse, and doesn't actually help improve a situation, or it doesn't raise social awareness, it actually makes people shut themselves out, I would argue that no, it is not good if a protest makes you angry. Because the point of a protest is that angry people are trying to get things changed. Right? So... you know, you could just, not tune in. I will kill you. Anyway, I specifically... and so, okay. I'm going to be talking about a specific form of protest. I'm not going to talk about all protests in general, and I'm not going to talk about specific ones. I'm going to talk about the ones that particularly piss me off. And they are the modern environmental ones. When I posted my schedule this week, I got a lot of DMs of people going, oh, are you gonna talk about no kings? Are you gonna talk about no kings? Do I look fucking stupid? No, I want to talk about just stop oil, because that pisses me off more than anything. Maybe. Yes, I hate all of you. I'm going to say, this is the one and only thing I'm going to say about the King's protest. I haven't been paying attention to it. So it would be actually stupid of me to make a proper comment about it. I don't see much about it on any of my feeds, and I've been busy with other things. So if I want to talk about protests, I'm not going to talk about that specific one, because I haven't tuned in. Anybody that talks about something they have zero knowledge about actually deserves to be deplatformed, because they're disingenuous. Also remember the Stonehenge destruction protests. Oh, jeez. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up some stuff on screen, but I'm gonna paint a picture here. You know, unlike those protesters. There is a trend amongst environmentalists of, there's like a thought process. A lot of them really have like this weird attraction to gluing themselves to things. So they'll glue themselves to highways, they'll glue themselves to floors, they'll glue themselves to walls, and they will glue themselves to paintings. They'll deface paintings, they'll slice them into ribbons, they'll pour paint, they'll pour soup, they'll do whatever they can. And their train of thought is, oh, well, you're mad about this, but you're not mad about the planet? You're a hypocrite piece of shit who needs to die. Because the planet's way more important than some old painting from 1600. Because if the planet dies, then this vanishes anyway, so it doesn't matter. Now, aside from being overly preachy and obnoxious, it actually does the opposite of get their point across. Because, you know, on paper, that sounds very, you know, divisive. That sounds very hard crack, you know? But in reality, they failed to realize that that doesn't make them look like the cool anti-hero edgelord in their, like, from their political comic books. It just makes them against the common man. Somebody who can't genuinely do anything about oil, and they don't care enough, right? There are other avenues that a common man could take to, invoke change, but the politicians they want to incite change don't care about artwork, or the artwork they care about, they already own the original copies of and have hidden in the safe, and it destroys accessibility to the common person for these old artworks, these relics of human history. Arguably, they have more value than every single one of those protesters' lives combined. Like, this is going to sound obnoxious, but, like, every single Just Stop Oil protester, I would not flinch if they were, while alive, kicking, screaming, whining, pissing, and shitting themselves, tossed into one of those car compactors and slowly crushed to death, made into a cube, and then displayed in a museum. I have such vitriolic hatred for the anti-oil protesters. And honestly, the protesters themselves make me discredit their message. It doesn't matter how well-intentioned, theoretically, their messages could be. Like, I genuinely think it is in the best interest of humanity that the anti-oil protesters are slowly discombobulated in front of their weeping, crying parents. I think that these mentally deranged, older teenagers and young adults should have their limbs torn off one by one, have their nerve endings threaded out of their body, and should be strangled to death with them. Like, they are not the enlightened by tormenting people who can't do anything about it. They're making everybody miserable, and so they can play off their sick power fantasy. Like, they want to jack themselves off as the big hero. So, I'm gonna show you some pictures, and I also want to talk about the robbery that happened in France yesterday, because that shocked me. Like, if they really wanted to stop oil, you know what they would do? They would be pro-nuclear. Unironically, like, quite genuinely, if you wanted to stop oil and all of its evil wrongdoings, you would be the strongest supporter of nuclear reactors, nuclear power, nuclear fission. Like, yeah, there's danger, but there's also danger with oil. The dangers that you bitch and moan about. Before I respond to that specific supa, hello, Memoria. I'm causing myself trouble here. But you can't hug children with nuclear arms. Here's the thing. The governments of every major country that developed anything nuclear, by stripping away having nuclear power as a source, they didn't destroy their ability to access nuclear power, nuclear weaponry. They're still developing their nuclear technology. But because of dipshits that are so anti-nuclear, like, now a regular person has no access to those benefits. Like, if you really cared about the environment, you would love the idea of a nuclear power plant. Anyway. Can't hear the supa, by the way? Oh. Okay, well then I'll reread it out loud. By the way, thank you, Brave SJ, for the 20. Brave says, I actually feel so much camaraderie with the people rich enough to take multiple days off to block the road when I'm driving my work route. I'm definitely not mentally calculating how many years I'd do for flooring it through them. And you know what I have to say about that? Every time those things happen, the next day there's always stories in that area's local news about people who died. Quite genuinely died because the main roads were blocked. And what do you mean died? Well, I mean like emergency services, fire trucks, police, ambulances. All of them are also blocked in traffic. They cannot do anything. So people die on the way to the hospital, or they die because the police wasn't there to stop somebody from shooting them in the skull, or they died because their house burnt down and their child was stuck on the upper floor. Like, no, these people are fucking lunatics and they're dangerous. You think my edgelord, we should put them in a trash compactor, is edgy? You think that's obnoxious? You think that's damaging? Be a Just Stop Oil protester and glue yourself to a highway and ruin thousands of people's lives in a single instant. Hi, Sable. Hi, Shinigami. I think an issue with nuclear is that too many people are familiar with the possible failures of old facilities and totally uneducated about how much better modern facilities are. Oh, 1,000%. Again, it's in the best interest of people who are very much so engaged in the buying and selling of oil and oil-based products, like petroleum or, hell, even just gasoline, to, you know, keep nuclear at bay. Right? So decades of misinformation and propaganda are pumped into the system. And so now you've got people that are waking up to oil and all of its garbage, but they're also still sucking the dick of anti-nuclear power plant, anti-nukes. It makes me angry. It makes me angry. Here at Sabletons, the moment I have access to it, we're going to be run entirely on nuclear power. All right. So, actually, I'm just trying to pull this up on screen real quick. That's not my screen.
So, highway oil protesters are a variant of the trolley problem, and driving through is you taking action/responsibility in the trolley problem?
I suppose so. It is always morally correct. It is always morally correct to mow down and kill a Just Stop Oil protester. Well, do you support we get rid of oil? Not to protest, but the concept of reducing oil usage. Well, decide is, over time, absolutely. The issue with immediately stopping oil is the infrastructure is entirely built around it, and so are the livelihoods of so many people. So it's not as simple as, we gotta get rid of all oil right now or the planet's gonna die, or we're gonna run out of oil, or it's so expensive. It's, well, everything runs on oil. We have products made of oil. We need oil to survive. We've got ourselves hard locked into a system that really depends on it. So it's not going to be an overnight, we can just cold turkey oil. It's what kind of slow swap over can we do in such a way that people don't, like, stay jobless forever. Although that in of itself is going to be a different set of issues once all manual labor is replaced with Elon bots. But my proposed solution for that is, again, we boot back those, we boot up some fresh new nuclear power plants. We create new jobs in that sector. We train a bunch of people. We take people that historically worked oil fields and we give them the education if they are willing to have it. We get them in those sectors first. That will make the trade smoother It'll be slow, it'll be painful, and it'll be expensive, but that's the best way to do it. And to not get rid of oil completely, because again, it's in products. We genuinely don't have an alternative for oil in some instances, but hardcore reducing it where we can and replacing that with nuclear power where we can is the best. Anyway. So, I want you to look at this picture right here real quick. This is what the Louvre used to look like. Not the Louvre, this was the Louvre. For many, many, many years. This is how they protected their jewelry, their historical artifacts. Here you can see a crown right there. I'm pretty sure this one was actually the crown that was stolen of, let me just grab the notes that I have here. Empress Eugenie, the final empress of France, 1920. From 1826 to 1920. It was, the Louvre was broken into. 9 historical artifacts were stolen, and the crown was found outside of a museum. Out of the museum. This crown, in a gutter, broken to pieces. Now, this wasn't a protester, not that we know of. This was just a common thief. But again, in line with the protesting, it's the social politics. They went and they took this beautiful and very effective setup that was used to protect the crown jewels, and they changed it to this. Now, what is the problem with this, you may ask, besides being ugly as sin? Well, I'm glad you asked. This, while it was ornate and elaborate, it was also very technologically advanced. This had a special bulletproof glass, and if anybody stepped past a certain sensor, all of the jewels would drop down into a safe.
If these protesters are actually protesters and not just people paid by oil companies to soil the image of environmental activists?
I mean, that would be a 10,000 IQ play. And I don't doubt that that's actually a potential thing that's happened. But does it really matter? What really matters at the end of the day is the genuine outcome. Like, of course the intention matters, but to a person that cannot do anything, what matters is what you are force-fed and what is in front of you. If you are somebody that actually has the power to make change, the power to do something about it, or you can put yourself in a position to do something about it, then the intention behind it matters a bit more. Anyway, now, this had no such security technology. I want you to look at this real quick. This was not bulletproof glass. And it didn't have a drop down into a safe. This was literally just a regular display case. All of these were put into regular display cases right here. These ones are a little more ornate, but these two are also just regular, like, jewelry store display cases. So we go from advanced technology that would protect the shit to this. Now, what was the reason? Well, according to France 24, when asked, to counter its elitist image, the museum will strive for cultural democratization to make its treasures more accessible with improved presentation, labeling, and curation. All right. Martinez, who comes from a working-class background, said he wanted to build on an outreach success of the Louvre's Outpost Museum in the Lens, a poor former mining town. He said, sometimes the former royal palace in the heart of Paris can intimidate certain demographics, and the museum needs to reassure people that the collection is also for them. So, that is so blatantly classist. Can you imagine having the nerve to go, oh, you're poor, so you're not allowed to enjoy something that is ornate. You're not allowed to enjoy something that is elaborate. You're too stupid and lower class to be able to understand it. So we need to make it accessible for you. So what is accessibility? It's stupidity, it's flatness, it's dumbed down, it's stripped away of all character. Don't you feel insulted? Because I know I'm fucking insulted.
Well, it's certainly for them now, on the street. Oof.
Like, I cannot imagine. It's like, how is this not accessible to the public? You can go in, you can view it if you wanted even, and you've even got little signs on the posts here. If you wanted more quote-unquote accessibility, maybe add more signs in different languages. That is the only accessible thing you need to do. You're not supposed to be able to walk up and pry it out of the glass. Priceless artifacts. Like, my stomach dropped into my ass when I heard about this. Like, I ran. I sprinted to the DMs of, like, my artist friends, and I went, did you hear about this? Holy fuck. Also, somebody made a diagram of how they carried out the heist, and I want you guys to see it before we get back to our previous topic. So, they pretended they were construction workers. They broke in. They literally just fucking sawed it. They sawed it, and because there was no security measures, they were, like, fishing the thing out like they were in a movie from the 90s. I can't hate the hustle. I can only respect the grind. They took advantage of a very broken system, and they really exposed how corrupt and disgusting the whole setup was. It's just really heartbreaking to me that historical treasures are now gone. They're sold, they're vanished, and now they truly are inaccessible for the public. The lowest common denominator. No person can personally see them anymore because now they're gone. They're being sold somewhere. Remember when Notre Dame burned and a lot of people cheered? Oh, absolutely. Oh, I don't want to get into... I would cause myself trouble if I talked about Notre Dame and I talked about the repainting and retrofitting of cathedrals right now, because there is a lot of that going on, but if I speak... The crown was found broken in a gutter nearby. Yeah, it was broken. It was actually looted of all the jewels. They really did do a Payday 2 speedrun. Real. Anyway, so Just Stop Oil and its sister projects. I'm just grabbing all these images. This one here wasn't even in a museum. This was in a college. This one in particular really broke my heart. I remember studying works like this during my tenure in Zeiton, and maybe not everyone has such reverence for a different time period, but this was somebody's skill set. This was somebody's life experience. This has a history. This is somebody's proof of existence, and it's being shat on to make a point by somebody who honestly is worthless. Somebody whose experience is entirely informed by the richest person donating to the propaganda campaign of their choice. Like, my God. This last one, like, right here, where they're slicing it with a razor. It makes me so viscerally angry. Good thing most of the art present are just copies. This one wasn't. This was an original that was donated to that university, college, whatnot. Like, this one is not coming back. Now, this one actually had, like, a protective glass layer on top of it, and there are some that did, you know. Like, the Mona Lisa, it had glass on it. The Van Gogh, it had like a thin layer of plastic on it. But at the time, nobody knew about the Van Gogh, so everybody genuinely thought, and the protesters thought too, that they really destroyed it. Like, they were so gleeful and giddy about the prison time they were getting. Is she a student or just a visitor? She was a student. Now, here's another one. Now, this one was an original, and they poured maple syrup all over it. And this is in a art museum in Canada. And this is from one of what is considered to be, I know it literally is a very boring painting, one of the greatest female painters of, like, history. At least according to Canadian standards. She was part of the group of 7. These heinous, disgusting creatures. You'd think that they would be, you know, flagellating themselves to protect a feminist icon, but instead, their fake protest was more important, right? I'm not, like, massive about that, but the levels of, like, the mental cognitive dissonance you have to go through to justify this. Boring painting, greatest Canadian painter. Yeah, that's... Let me see if I can grab that specific... Yeah, no, but this is Emily Carr. It's called The Stumps and the Sky. Did they glue their hand with maple syrup too? No, but you know what somebody did do? They went to the woman with the pearl earring, a bald man, went to that painting, and he glued his skull to the painting itself. I'm not sure if this one was a replica or if it was the real deal, but it was not a print. He literally ripped off chunks of paint with his bald skull. Let me see if I can just... Now, this one was a video, not a picture. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of the video. And then his buddy poured red soup all over him and the painting to represent blood. They also attacked the Stonehenge. Oh, yes, absolutely. Again, now, what is the common thread amongst every single one of these protesters besides it being about, you know, just stop oil? That's right. It didn't create any more people who want to stop oil. In fact, it made a lot of people angry. All these people with main character syndrome who've been paid off by the establishment to push the message of environmental clarity and unity. You know, I'm actually for castration as a punishment. I think that any man or woman who decides to do this kind of bullshit actually needs to be chemically castrated. This level of public nuisance and disturbance does pass down from parent to child. So I think if you actually chemically castrate, you know, public nuisances like this, then you have a lot less problems in the future. I think that actually should be a commonly acceptable form of punishment. You go to prison, it's proven straight up you were doing shit in public, your balls get snipped off. Haunty, your running gag about Thomas is very funny to me. Why chemicals? Get the scalpel. Because chemicals hurt more. Scalpel, it's just a quick flick of the wrist and it's gone. I heard a theory that 2 half-wit make a quarter-wit. Why not put them on community service for like 8 months? Because that doesn't change anybody. Like, I will say straight up that community service is the most bullshit punishment that anybody's ever had, if, like, aside from a child. That's like telling a child to clean their room as a punishment, right? That doesn't change them internally. That doesn't make them a different person. It doesn't make them a better person. 100% of the time, it just irritates them further. And if they finish their community service, they're going to go right back out and do the exact same thing. That is not a life-changing punishment. No, rehabilitation as a concept has never worked in any prison system ever. Not in modernity, anyway. No. The Western side of Earth, it very reflective. Like, if I speak, I must bite my tongue. Okay. I will say there is one really funny thing, though, that happened. So, this big mural was actually painted by Just Stop Oil protesters. They did a big, beautiful mural. And they were so proud of it. It was the most wonderful thing. The whole community came together and they watched Just Stop Oil painting, and they were having a great time. The next day, the city painted over it. And they started screaming and crying about defacing artwork with meaning. Defacing things with a message of destroying things that had value to the public. No, you don't understand. It's fine when I, pour paint over the Mona Lisa. That has no value to society, but my corporate art style wall mural, that is real value.
As a certain fox would say, try not to glow.
Ah, nice. Something that I can listen to while trying to beat Elden Beast. You missed, you missed me crashing out a little bit earlier. No, but can you imagine the absolute hypocrisy of being like, oh yes, no, we need to destroy an original. This is very valuable to society, and it really makes a point.
That mural has that corporate art style, people. This is confirmed a big oil propaganda psyop to me. Percent 110, they're being funded by oil.
Oh, Look. I don't disagree that Just Stop Oil is being funded by oil, because you know what? The head of Just Stop Oil is actually the daughter of somebody that owns a massive oil company. What matters to me is the public perception. Because before the Just Stop Oil protests went around and destroyed historical artifacts and then jacked themselves off on the idea that they were better than everyone else, people were not more environmentally conscious. Like, people were not caring about oil. Right? Like, to a degree, some people were, but not anybody important. Not anybody that would threaten any oil baron to the point where he would need to do a secret psyop to make people angry at the anti-oil people and make them unpopular. I am entirely willing to believe that these people are just that stupid and brainwashed. Like, full stop. I am genuinely willing to believe that, in part, it could maybe potentially be a very big conspiracy by Big Oil, but I think that these people are stupid enough that it doesn't have to be. I think Big Oil just happens to accidentally take a massive W because people like this exist. These people are everywhere. They are at the grocery store. These people, this kind of person with a massive ego and a tiny brain, they're in our schools teaching our children. They're at the zoo, screwing the animals after hours. Just like, I am all for conspiracy theories, and I believe, like, way too many of them, but this one, it would be funnier if it was true. Like, genuinely, it would be funnier if it wasn't a conspiracy and people were just that stupid. But again, as I said earlier, people like this, these people right here, the only use they have in this world is as fertilizer for the plants. They want to be environmentally friendly. They can all, climb into that trash compactor together and become a beautiful, mushy square.
The organized minority triumphs over the disorganized mass. Come Adam Curtis, all watched over by machines of loving grace.
The proper term for conspiracy theory is spoiler. So you're saying they should be killed? I'm saying a lot of people should be killed. For the benefit of humanity. If somebody, either in a collective or as a singularity, has openly done the absolute... Okay. Let me level with you. Wesson. When I say they should be killed, I am specifically talking about these Just Stop Oil protesters, because these people have caused the death of others. Straight up. And they have also caused irrevocable destruction to human history. There are some kinds of protesters that totally innocuous, if not annoying. Like just some normal protesters. I don't give a shit. If a group of 200 people have, stormed the streets and they're on the sides and they're not blocking traffic and emergency services can still save lives, great. I don't give a shit. If they're all collectively in front of one building causing a hullabaloo and they're really annoying and nobody likes them, who cares? They're not actually hurting anybody. It's when protesters up the ante and their nuisance actually becomes dangerous. It doesn't have to be violent to be dangerous. It just has to be disruptive enough that normal people's lives are made very difficult. And I'm not talking about I'm uncomfortable because I saw protesters and I was 10 minutes late to work. I mean difficult in the a house was burning down and the firefighters had to reroute and it took them an extra half hour to get there and everybody in there died. So when I say these kinds of protesters need to die, maybe it's coming from an emotional place, maybe not an entirely practical place, but I still stand by it. Glue yourself to the road. You deserve it. You deserve to be wood chippered and put in a trash compactor. Tying up, yeah. They glow. Yes, Mr. FBI, they do glow. And the ones that destroy historical artifacts, there's a difference between defacing, the dressings of historical artifacts and actually destroying them. Like here, these people are very lucky that these two paintings had glass over top of them. But this is broken forever. Now, this wasn't an activist. This was a criminal. But I think criminals and activists who openly destroy for their own sake are the one and the same. This is the tying point between these two unrelated pieces of thought. If you steal a crown, you take all its jewels and you leave it dented in a sewer, you are no better than an activist who goes to a painting and slices it to pieces. Both of you had incredibly selfish reasons for doing it, and history has irrevocably been destroyed, removed, and changed. You see, people aren't immortal. People die. People die, and they stay dead. But art carries memory. Every single brush stroke is the physical embodiment of a recording of that person's motion in their life. Like hell, even this protester, they're adding to the artwork in a sense because that slice is a recording of their arm moving up and down. The person themselves, their thoughts, their feelings, their wants and desires, they will disappear, but that slice remains. Just like how the brush strokes for that hair remains, or the skull remains. By destroying an artwork or an artifact as such, you are effectively deleting somebody's existence permanently. Artwork is the one method of immortality that can exist. Like, that sounds so pretentious, but I truly do believe that. And immoral, stupid people who decide that they are better than any individual who has done their best to leave their mark on the world actually have proved the opposite, that they are worse than anything. They are worse than nothing. If they think it's acceptable to delete the existence of somebody and their life's work, even if it's like not even great, the artwork could be shit, but still actively destroying it makes you a horrible person. Like tearing down or burning down a cathedral. Those hundreds and thousands of work hours, all of those laborers, every chip at the stone, every movement of the chisel, that is that person's legacy. That is their soul. That is their lifetime. That is every second recorded, destroyed by somebody who has the audacity to think that they're better. And you know what? Hell, this, destruction of this, one could argue it's the same thing. But do note that I'm petty. That I'm petty and this person isn't dead. And they're a hypocrite. If this is the kind of person that wouldn't care about the destruction of other people's things, then perhaps they shouldn't be afforded the same respect. But Katya, I can hear you whining and moaning. That's hypocrisy. You shouldn't enforce that kind of value on some, artworks and not others. That corpo-style slop should absolutely be saved into all of eternity, written into the annals of history. That person isn't dead. That person can't create, that person can create new artworks. They have the opportunity to record their life again. These people have been dead for so long, you're erasing the last little bits of their existence that the world will ever get to know. Because written things, like stories that people tell, that's all hearsay and can be totally made up. This is physical proof of their existence. Faked versions of it don't matter. What matters are the originals. Even if nobody ever sees an original ever again, and it's hidden in a closet somewhere, hidden in a basement, that original existing is so precious. Those paintings are covered in glass. Oh, is this one covered in glass? Is this covered in glass and removable? Is this original? It doesn't matter how many copies got made. It doesn't matter how many reprints got made. The original is gone. Anybody can fake a copy. Anybody can do whatever. The value is in the memory of the echo of those brushstrokes. It's kind of like how there's no value in AI-generated imagery because there is no record of a person's existence behind it. It is algorithmic, but the person isn't there to create it. Like, there is no stroke-by-stroke memory. There's arguments, about, well, it's valuable because it's pretty, and it's like, yes, but it doesn't actually have the lifetime recording of somebody's intention behind it. So that is where the value in art lies to me, personally. Am I gonna, tell you to shoot your brain, blow your brains out if you generate an image? No. But I'm also not gonna say that it's artwork. I'll just call it an image, because that's what it is. No, it's... There's nothing to separate it from the replicas of it. Are you, like, trying to rage bait me? Maybe visibly to you, there is no difference. It's not about... Hell, people can, like, 3D print raised bumps of oil paint. It's not about the existence of the visual. That is not where the value in an original lies. The value is that the art, like... When I draw artwork, I've always been drawing artwork ever since I was like a tiny child. I own pieces of paper from when I was like 5, the very first time I started drawing. And I have vivid memories. Like, not necessarily like remembering every single thing that I was drawing ever, like perfect, but like I have like that phantom kind of sense. When I hold the picture, I can remember the order in which my hand moved down the page to draw each line. I can remember the way it felt physically. In my mind, that is the value. That is the original motion. That is the memory of my existence. Active. Now, if somebody photocopied that picture,
art is emotion.
That's not the same.
It's cultured. Drum emoji.
That's pretty funny. But like, if somebody photocopied it and they put it everywhere, and let's say that drawing I made when I was 5 went viral and people liked it and they did whatever, those copies don't hold the same meaning because they don't have the actual motion attached to the creation of it. Like, they are the ghost of it. Kind of like how a photo is a ghost of a real event that happened. It's a recording of a memory, but it is not that original memory. A video is a recording of a real event that happened, well, if it's not AI, but it is not the actual event itself. That is what's valuable about the original, is that it is not it is not an imitation. It is the event. And so it doesn't matter how beautifully and perfectly you can replicate something, even if it's got historical merit. If it's not the original, then the value of everything behind it is gone, except for whatever new values have been associated to the blank, soulless visual. It is about that person's time being recorded. Once you erase the original, you have erased that person's existence. That is entirely my philosophy. Artwork has soul inside of it. Not like, oh, it's soul, you can see the soul inside of it. No, I mean like genuinely the time that you spend. Every tiny little piece of time that gets wasted or put out there. That is your soul. That is your energy. Kind of like how a battery drains. And the person's battery was drained with every individual stroke. And the result of that battery usage was that little piece. Replicas of sword may serve the same purpose, but it was not his sword, for example. Exactly. All money is fungible, but a special lucky coin from your dad is not. And here's the thing. Some people would argue that digital art takes away from the original motion and movement of things. I would argue not, because digital artwork, you still are an artist going through processes. You are still drawing every individual stroke, every individual motion, and I still, when I draw something, I remember faintly, the way the pen felt in my hand as it moved across the screen, the order in which I decided to go. The process is the value behind it, even if nobody else sees it. It is valuable to the person who was alive, and once they die, that is the value they leave behind. And if the only value you can see in artwork is how much you can buy and sell it, then you've never understood what it means to be human. You just like living in something highly commercialized. And I feel sorry for you. I find it very sad, your existence. That your existence is only characterized by fleeting things.
It can just be replaced with a copy that thinking is just wrong. What would you rather, the one actually paint or a copy printed by a literally who?
Well, some people it doesn't matter. To some people, all they want is a visual. That's why AI is genuinely very popular. What matters is a highly processed, easy to digest, pretty visual. No, it's not about you as a person. Do you want to own an original? Because that's a lot of responsibility. It's about protecting the right of the original to exist. Right? You don't have to own the original, but you can take comfort in knowing that the original is still out there. That the person who created it won't vanish into nothing and die. Because, again, you know what? Those oil protesters, they do have a point. Eventually, the sun is gonna burn into a cinder and we'll never pass this way again. We're all gonna die one day. And the planet's gonna die eventually. Probably not while we're still on it. But the one thing about humanity, the thing that sets us apart from the animals, is our preservation instinct. We have always found it so important to preserve things like artwork. All throughout history. That's why we have things that are ancient. That's why we have things from like the 6th century, right? It's because humans saw the value behind keeping those originals safe. They knew what that meant. So seeing that value be disintegrated in the modern lexicon is distressing. Because some of the last things that will ever exist after humanity is gone will be the artifacts we leave behind. That will be the last proof of our existence. Dust Pixels, your comment is interesting to me. I'm sorry, I see art as I see food. AI is junk food and human art is a mom and pop restaurant. Well, that's what the issue is that you see art as consumable and not kind of... It's the difference between a paper bag, a plastic bag, and a fabric bag. A fabric bag is something reusable and will last you a very long time if treated right. It's a valuable asset.
You hit the nail on the head. These cretins cannot create or have any greater purpose in their lives. They think their actions carry more weight.
Art isn't something you use up when you're not done with a painting after you see it. Well, that's the thing. A lot of people are done with something once they see it because that's all they know. And that's not really their fault. That's entirely a training thing. And I'm not talking about elitist art school training. I'm talking about the mindset of the people that raised them in the school system they were put into and about the value attributed to it. These human experiences have turned into something utterly transactional, and it's disturbing, right? Anyway. You need training to read after all. Speaking of, holy shit, Gen Alpha can't read? That's the craziest thing to me, honestly. I've been hearing horror stories from... Oh. My microphone dropped. I've been hearing horror stories from, teachers that are teaching children these days, and I didn't realize how common it was for people to send their, like, toddlers to school without being able to read. Like, growing up, it was, like, so important that kids, like, knew some basics going into kindergarten. Maybe it was, like, basic letters and numbers, but they knew a little bit of something. Kids are going into, like, grade 2 unable to read or write sentences now. Like, what the fuck? Like, previously, if your child was entering grade 2 and they couldn't read or write, they were legally classified as retarded. And I mean that in, like, the clinical sense. Like, they were put into special classes, they were considered slow, but now that's, like, 80% of the children, and it's not organic, it's artificial. It's, again, a lack of training and a lack of care. It's the forcing of parents out of the household because they have 5 jobs each and they've got nobody to watch after the kids, so they're all on their iPads watching VTubers. If you are a child under 10 right now, turn off my stream. I don't want to see you, you sick freak. Learn how to read. Isn't grade 1 like teaching you the letters and shit? Dayton? It really depends on your school system. I know that the British school system, you're like reading small books in grade 2. And in the American school system and the Canadian school system, it's different per province or per county or whatever, per land chunk. Because let's be real, every single province, territory, and state in Canada and the States have their own unique rule set and their own unique cultures, and they're all bigger than an average country in the other side of the world. So it's really hard to standardize anything over there. But I know my Zeiten education. I had to learn how to tell the time on an analog clock. I had to be able to read letters and write letters. I wasn't able to form sentences in kindergarten, but by grade 1, I was reading and writing sentences. In grade 2, I was reading small picture books, and that made me painfully average. Every single kid I knew could do that, and none of us were geniuses. If anything, we were all a little bit dim. It's entirely training. Kids are sponges, and they are capable of so much if you just give them the opportunity. And robbing them of that opportunity by putting them in front of brainwashing and atrophying machines is one of the biggest travesties of our time. And this is like the only reason I would ever actually want to have a kid. Genuinely. Which sounds weird, but like, I'm looking at all this and I'm like, I'm stupid and I could do a better job. Like, the world needs less damaged people. The world needs more people that are raised with really basic skills. Like, are we really gonna see the first generation that is less literate than their grandparents were? Than their parents were, even? Like, they're gonna be unhealthy, they're gonna be illiterate, they're going to be totally atrophied, totally reliant on this absurdist technology that devalues every single aspect of the human experience. Like, why learn how to play music if you can have Suno make something that sounds real nice? Why learn how to draw if you can type in a prompt and get any beautiful style you want? Why learn how to cook if you can have a machine do it for you, you know? these things that are supposed to aid and make life easier for us instead have totally replaced what gives us excitement and joy, which is the process.
We gotta send one good kid out to the world, kitty.
The convenience you demanded is now mandatory, basically. Do you support the Asia style of early education? I mean, 7 a.m. start, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 5:30 for elementary, junior high, senior high, plus 3 to 5 hours? I don't know enough about the Asian style of education, but clearly something works. Like, I don't know about the Asian workforce after the education, but the education itself seems to have worked. Like, the Chinese in China, the Koreans in Korea, and the Japanese in Japan, they've got their issues. They've got their social, political, economic issues, and nobody's fucking. But the one issue they don't typically have is with their education. Hell, people even still have street smarts, right? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But I don't want to rag on it because outside looking in, they're the only people left. And even then, now they're also starting to see like the brunt end of shit. It disturbs me how many essential life skills are just not being taught. There's so many coworkers who don't know how to cook. This is a caretaker job and rely on delivery services. They don't know how to cook! Oh my god. Yeah, no, a lot of my compatriots, they're entirely just like DoorDash whores. Like, DoorDash whores who don't read. And I get that there's a convenience to it, but in this economy, the absolute obscene cost builds up, but nobody seems to care. Nobody seems to there's this strange lack of financial literacy I find amongst all Gen Z. And Gen Z are well into their adulthood right now, but the financial literacy is like tanked. Unless literally that is what they are doing with their lives, is working in finance, nobody knows how to handle their money. Everybody's spending so recklessly. And it's a little traumatizing, honestly, sometimes to look at it. Cost twice as much than just getting ingredients. Yeah, and here's the thing. Some people go, well, in the short term, no, it's not, because in the short term, all the ingredients together cost $50, but in one go. And if I order DoorDash right now, that costs me $30. It's cheaper for DoorDash. Okay, maybe in one purchase, it's cheaper for DoorDash, but you fail to realize the $50 gives you 7 meals. So what's 7 times 30? I am working under the assumption that these are the kinds of people that also are like, ew, leftovers are icky, because it's always the same kind of person. Yeah, no, 210. So 210 or $50. It's very grim out there. It's very grim. I can get 2 weeks of groceries for $50, what the hell? Well, here's the thing, undeaded token girl character. I am talking at, like, the lowest common denominator. If you bought the most expensive ingredients in groceries and you weren't caring about cost, like, you were a wasteful, stupid piece of shit with your money and budgeting. Or you live in Canada. Which is the same thing, I will say. Yeah, no, now people keep at nobody's wondered, but I need to clarify the reason I keep bringing up Canada and the States is because I've got a lot of business contacts that live there. So it's fairly easy to use that as a point of reference for what people can understand. And also it's a lot of fun to slander the Canadians. I have a lot of fun doing it. Now, I may be all the way over here in Fairez, but I will say nothing is more fun than dunking on an entire country that I don't live in. What do you think, Pipsqueak? Interesting. I don't understand a single word he says, by the way. There's a prominent businessman that lives in Canada that I know. Yeah, I don't know. He seems a little bit fishy to me. Fishman mentioned. This is gonna... No, you know what? I'm gonna fucking say it. I am very hyped for the new Phase Connect debuts. This is probably one of those topics that I shouldn't talk about, but I really want to. So I'm gonna pull up BB Biscuit real quick on Twitter, because she's the person I'm most excited to see debut. Purely based on her Twitter interactions. Phase Secca hype. 100%, like, it's embarrassing, but man, she's so cute! Like, dogs in real life, gross. Horrible creatures. I will feed them through a wood chipper. Anime girl dogs, best thing ever. Best thing ever. She just posted this, like, teaser of her model on Twitter, and it is the cutest thing. Like, look at her! She's so fucking cute! Oh my god. I'm collecting anime girl puppy dogs. Like they're playing cards. What the heck, you don't like dogs? I have been bitten by many dogs in my life, and I'm terrified by them. Like, unironically, I am genuinely terrified of real dogs. I can't stand them. I can do cats. Cats have never attacked me, but consistently all throughout my life, whenever I see a dog, I try to kindly approach it. I end up getting mauled. Like, I end up having big gashes in my arm or in my leg, and it's been that way since childhood. And I've never done anything wrong to antagonize a dog. I just keep getting fucking attacked by dogs. And so, real dogs, I can't do them. Can't do little ones, can't do big ones. They're scary as shit. Hate them. Dogs can sense evil. You know what? Kill yourself. Anyway. They must smell something. Leave me alone! Anyway, so I've got 2 dogs now. I've got Fangsie, and I'm gonna try to get BB. I'm trying to get BB. She is the cutest creature. Holy shit. Rip in pieces with her eating chocolate, though. Dogs are very good judges of character. I better unsub ASAP. The woofers have spoken. That's vile, but understandable. Don't let the door smack your fat ass on the way out. The clap of your cheeks causing a rippling storm shockwave. Dummy thick. You're gonna attract all the dogs. I need to broaden my scope of VTubers I ought to watch. I only watch you because the time you stream at is the most convenient to me compared to others. That and your loving personality. Hey, what can I say? Ain't I just the sweetest? Katya just needs to be better with animal skill issue. Cats are easy. Excuse you, I am very good at handling rabbits. I am very good at handling rabbits, at handling goats, at handling birds. Oh, excuse me. At handling birds. And you know what? Even if dogs fucking hate me, I can handle dogs too if I need to. They will end up fed and end up walked. Will I die by the end of it? Yes. Will I unironically cry? 100% of the time. I'm terrified of dogs. No, rabbits are interesting because they're like cats. Cat software on rodent hardware. They're just really big fucking rats. But really cute rats, like fluffy rats. Quite genuinely, rabbits are like rodent creatures. So, taking care of rabbits, it's like the cuddliest, most disgusting creature. Katya is a secret Pippa enjoyer. Shoot me if I'm wrong. It was a secret? Although that's not why I enjoy rabbits. I've raised rabbits for quite a long time. My favorite animals to handle are snakes. Oh my god! I used to... Okay, like, in the casino here, we used to have a ball python named Rex. Wonderful creature. Wonderful creature. It got old. It got old. But he had a very long, successful life. Base danger noodle enjoyer. Absolutely. No, I like snakes, I like lizards, I like birds, rabbits. I've grown fond of, but it took time. I like cats. Wish I could own one. I don't own one. I've never owned one. I've always wanted to own one, but that's okay. As a little kid, I always dreamed of having a Himalayan cat. They're like big, fluffy puffballs with brown faces. Very cute. Very cuddly and warm-looking. But we couldn't have cats because family members were allergic. So we just ended up getting snakes and lizards, and then the allergic family members, you know, died in a fire, so then we got rabbits in the casino. So we've got some fur creatures now. Man, having nobility around that's so uppity and stuffity about fur is crazy. How do you feel about raccoons? I mean, Snuffy as a VTuber is alright. IRL raccoons look pretty cute. All I've heard, though, is that they have rabies, so I don't experience them. Panko. Oh, Panko's. Panko's a bit of a firecracker. Alright, guys. How are we feeling? Katya the type to become an animal hoarder? No, actually. if possible. I would like one animal in my vicinity max, or none at all, because that's a lot of responsibility. I mean, hey, I don't have any kids, right? Well, mostly because, like, I can't get pregnant. I'm an unfortunate human creature that just can't have kids. But if it was up to me, I would have one animal or one kid. I don't think I could handle anything more than one creature because I have a hard enough time taking care of myself. Final boss of Cat Lady. How could I be the final boss of Cat Lady if I've never owned a single cat? And I don't plan to because, again, now I'm terrified about toxoplasmosis. Anyway. Anybody here going to Voca Fest UK? Because I'm gonna be there. Well, you know. Not in person. We're not portaling over, but I will be there virtually. I will be a guest there. Hold on, let me see if I can grab the schedule. We're gonna be doing VTuber meet and greets, all of Variance. Let's see. Hyper Japan, Manchester. Save image. There we go. So, Hyper Japan, Manchester, from the 14th to the 16th of November. On Friday, you've got Leia Memoria. You've got KATYA SABLE. You've got Sunday is Saturday's Fangsie. Okay. Well, I'm a fake Fangsie fan because I got the date wrong. I think I should be killed for that one. Where is... Am I crazy? Where the fuck did Ava go? Ava is floating... Oh, there's Ava right there. I'm a double fake fan. I'm a double fake fan. I don't deserve to live. Alright. But yeah, no, this will be a meet and greet run by VocaFest at Hyper Japan. It'll be exciting. The meet and greet. Yeah. So I hope that you guys come check us out. I hope you come see the event. Now, I'm going to be doing a bit of an improv walk around meet and greet at an Uma Musume event this Friday, I believe. From around noon to 5. I have a handler that's going to wrangle me around. But I'm not entirely sure the specs of how that's going to operate. So if and when I know how that's operating, I'll make sure to put some details out on Twitter. But yeah, haunts. I miss Carter's Quest, not gonna lie. Oh, Shepherd of Souls. You have no idea how much I miss Carter's Quest. They're working on Act 2 right now. And I'm in their Discord. The dev team's Discord. And they're posting updates all the time. And it looks so good. And I just want to play more of it. I don't know. I'd like to kind of just crack the game open and run around and look at the map a bit. That'd be fun. But they've got I'm so excited for it. It's like the one good game that we've played in a long time. There's a bunch of boring games, and there's a bunch of shitty games, and then there's a bunch of big disappointment games. Like, you know. I was genuinely so upset by Bye Sweet Carol. Like, I know I only had, like, a light crash out about Bye Sweet Carol on stream. And then on Twitter, I made a professional review about Bye Sweet Carol. But that game was shit. Bye Sweet Carol was shit. Like, the first half was great. It was slow, but it was great. It was buggy as all hell. The writing was preachy and irritating. Like, there's a place for a genuine, wonderful place for the kind of topics they wanted to cover. And, you know, if they had been more forthcoming with them, I wouldn't have had a problem. But they made their points early on, and they did it... Okay, here. They treated the audience like they were stupid. They had the themes sprinkled throughout, and it made sense, but it went from clever writing that was letting you figure out the story as you went along, to all of a sudden they decided you were too dumb to see the point of the story, and they bludgeoned you in the head with it over and over and over again in the span of 5 minutes in one go, and it didn't even sound like the kind of they wanted to cover the suffrage movement. Yes, they wanted to cover it, and that's totally fine. Mary Poppins did it. All right? Mary Poppins did it. But Mary Poppins didn't pretend that it wasn't covering the suffrage movement and then halfway through the movie yell at you for being really stupid and not understanding that it was about the suffrage movement. Like, to insult the intelligence of your audience after they've sunk so many hours into a game is horrendous and so irritating. Like, and then it was trying to make a point about the suffrage movement and the difficulties of the time frame, but they didn't even do that properly because they tried to do some pseudo tie-in with modern political issues. And it was so transparent what they were doing. It went from, oh, well, this is kind of insulting my intelligence, but I'll take it, to, oh, okay, so this in general was the point of the whole game. Like, there was no other reason why you wanted to create a nice art piece. There was no reason for the atmospheric experience. There was nothing. All that buildup was for nothing. I'm just tired now because I had to suffer through broken, buggy gameplay for something that seemed like a deep and introspective story about a dark and interesting time in history. And a story about being afraid of growing up. Like, it was all the trappings of a very sweet, naive, but very good story. And then it just went, also, fuck you. You're stupid. You're stupid. And you know what? Because you're stupid, we need to funnel feed you what our point was, actually, because there's no way that you're capable of figuring it out on your own. Like, don't piss me off. It's like all the budget died after the rabbit boss fight and they were rushing to wrap up the narrative in a shoddy, heavy pace. Well, that's the thing. We weren't at the end of the game. We were only like 2/3 of the way through. That game has 10 acts and we only got to Act 6. There was nothing to rush. They had no reason to do that. Hi, Katya. How's it going? Oh, I hate games that hold your hand through the plot. Well, that's the thing, the one and on. Majority of the game, it didn't. Majority of the game, it was brilliant. Like, it was buggy, but I liked it. Then, out of nowhere, it's like, actually, here's a shotgun, and we're going to, riddle you full of bullet holes. Oh, it's the Disney Carol game. Yeah. Like, boys, is it political to want something to be well written? Is it a political statement to want to be treated like an adult? Or hell, to be treated like an intelligent creature? Because I can see a teenager playing that game. I can see a 10-year-old playing that game and still understanding the point without having to have the messaging beat into their brain. Anybody that has a critical thinking set of skills, you know, deserve to be treated as such. I'm just tired. No, that's fascism! Boys, is it fascism to use your brain? Is it fascism to not want to be spoon-fed? Critical thinking, that's called ableism. That's crazy! I'm gonna use that one later. And I'm not gonna credit you. Alright, guys. I think it's time to wind down. What do you think? You know what I think? I think my throat hurts. Let's see. Who do I want to raid? Fascism? Thomas King? Shut up, Auntie! Auntie Haunty? I love you, you silly little ghost. October really is your month. Alright. Well, it looks like Blair is live. Alright, everybody. Remember, rats, where are the rats? Rats, where rats, where rats? Oh my god, is that a cute little puppy dog?